Hola amigos. Today we're going to talk about wasted youth and high school. So recently I spoke with someone, a teenager, who felt like they were about to graduate soon and that they had wasted their high school years and basically their teenagehood. And that made me really sad because when they started describing, and when I asked, like, in what way, like, why do you feel that way? When they started describing what it was that they felt they lacked or they missed out on, or the boxes they felt they didn't check, which seemed like really big Disney Channel slash teenage movie milestones, that they didn't reach. I remember I was sitting there because they were so distraught about this and so torn and so, like, you could see messed up about it. And I just remember sitting there thinking, like, I also didn't do any of those. Like, I don't have that. I also didn't have that checkbox moment. I didn't have half the milestones you're talking about. Like, I didn't reach these things at that age either. But she felt so bad about it. She was so torn. It made me feel so bad. And I'm like, is something wrong with me? Because the reason I laugh is because I truly believe, and I say it like it is all the time, I had a great high school experience, and I do feel like it had a lot to do with my attitude. And I wasn't sitting there like, it's okay, I'll just smile through it. No, I was really, and I was trying to figure it out, and I was trying to talk to them about it as well, and I'm like, no, I was really happy. I was really happy, and I had such good friends around me, and I had my family around me too, because I went to school with my cousins and my sister. And I really liked my teachers. And, I was doing a lot of extra work because I was in the ACE program and AP honors and like AP and honors. And I was doing multiple clubs and I was in theater. So I was doing a lot. Even I look back and I'm like, I feel like I could have done more, to be honest. I feel like I could have been even more involved. But it wasn't like I was like student body president or anything like that. And I wasn't Miss Prom or Miss like homecoming game. Like, I wasn't that either. I was just very like doing what I had to do. And I was also super involved in church, and I had I had an art business that I kind of started myself to make money, which I loved. I don't know. I look back on that time and I just remember like kind of envisioning really focused on next steps and really focused on future and really focused on college and the person I wanted to become. And I'm like, I'm just here temporarily. Like, not once was I like, what did I ever think the world was ending because of something high school related? I understood what came next, which was for me college, and that came with work, and that came with setting myself up for a career to one day be an author and one day be the type of author that has movies made about the books. Like, that was like, I was like trajectory. I was like, that's where I'm going. It doesn't mean I had like every single part of it planned out. But I knew too well what I wanted to do, and I was so focused, and I was like, but I also feel like I'm the queen of balance because I was truly having so much fun at sleepovers and different like events that I would plan, and just so random, like I would plan scavenger hunts for me and my friends. Like, we were all high schoolers, like, and I loved just like hanging out with them and just like going for drives, like going to get snow cones and playing volleyball on the weekends. Like, I feel like I was so well balanced, and I'm very fortunate to like have always been super great in school. And of course I grew and I learned, but I'm so grateful for that high school time. And I look back and I'm like, I loved my teachers, I loved my friends. There was some hard things, and every time, I don't know what was wrong with me, because like, I kid you not, like I would go through life and I had this crazy like feeling that I was the most immature person in the room, and I was the silliest and like goofiest and bubbliest person in the room, and therefore like the ditziest. And it wasn't that I was trying to prove myself, but I had such a strong feeling, because my nickname in high school, at least like that first freshman year, was the innocent one, just because I was so unbruised or unlike I came with such like clean positive energy. I don't know. And I was always happy. And I think that people were and I've learned that throughout my life in the last couple of years as well, that people took that as you're dumb, you're less than, really underestimated me, and that's fine. But my point is, because I know who I am, but looking back now as like an adult about to like in my late 20s, I was probably so much more mature than I give myself credit for. And I don't know where that came from, other than I knew I wanted to get out. I knew I had, and just because I wanted to get out didn't mean I had to hate what life was. I didn't have to hate my town. I didn't have to hate my state. I didn't have to hate my school. I could find all the good, and I did. And there was just too much. There was too much good, and I was such a fan of everything. And I decided at a young age, I was like, I'm gonna love more things than I hate. I'm gonna love more foods than I hate. I'm gonna love more genres of music than I hate. I'm gonna love more. And I did it because I'm like, I'll always have friends the more things I love, because it connects you to people. And those were connections I was making at a super young age. And I think it affected how I walked around life. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of who I was. I was giving classes, I was tutoring, I was doing so much at 16 years old. And this girl who was telling me about how distraught she was, like truly destroyed and distraught about just feeling so unbelievably bad about her high school experience, was probably far busier than I ever was. Like she's in sports, she's in like multiple tiers of like performance and like all these other things. I just think that, I don't know, and I was trying so hard to figure out the difference, and I wasn't trying to sit there and tell them like look at you versus look at me, because truthfully everything that she was pointing out, or most of the things that she was pointing out, was like, I also didn't have those things. And if you just think about high school and you're like, what are the things that are supposed to happen in high school? This, and this. Like, there's certain like things that you accomplish while in high school that they feel like they not only didn't accomplish, but completely failed at, And I was like, I also didn't do these things. And I'm far more versed in like the high school culture in terms of like what it's supposed to look like and what the movies say it is and the books that I've read and everything. I'm like, yeah, I understand what high school, like Grease Lightning, like I understand what it's supposed to look like, Euphoria, Clueless, like I understand what you've been told it is and what society as a group we think high school is. But it didn't, and not once did I think like, was I too invested? I don't know, was I too invested in like the rest of like what would happen that I didn't sit down and like enjoy? And that's what I was thinking at first, but I'm like, no, I feel like I truly had a good time. Like I had such, I don't know, and I'm grateful, because there's schools out there with, no doors on their bathrooms and like super underfunded. And I didn't go to like a top school with uniforms and like a swimming pool. Like that's definitely not what I experienced. But I don't know, I was like, I think maybe people looked at me and they thought she's delusional. She's just so bubbly and happy all the time. When I was a realist, I was the biggest realist. I'm like, this is what we have. And am I gonna sit here and pout about it? No. And I'm not saying that's what this girl was doing. I think that they need, more than anything, love and care and an understanding and maybe help, like professional. But I just thought about how different our experiences were based on how our attitudes were, or our mindsets were. And I wasn't gonna sit there and tell them, it's because you have the wrong attitude, it's because you have the wrong mindset, you gotta change. No. Again, I'm not a motivational speaker. I can only talk about what I went through and what I thought and what I perceived and what I was thinking. That's all I can do. And that's what I did for them. And I think because this person is so much younger than me and they have this kind of perception that I'm, I don't know, like cool, or maybe I have certain things together. And for me to tell her, hey, I also did not hit these milestones in the way that you're explaining to me. And I understand that these are like typical high school things, but you're not alone. I also did not go through these things. And, I didn't feel like I needed to or had to like look for anything to justify. myself being that age in high school. And I wasn't alone either. I definitely wasn't. I was surrounded by people who weren't really interested in all of that. Maybe we weren't trying to be different, and we weren't trying to be alternative and cool. We were just being. And I think everyone had a separate dream and had different things that they were focused on. I'm more focused on getting my license, or I'm more focused on getting married right out of high school. Different things. I'm more focused on college. I'm more focused on a career. I'm more focused on my family needing me. I'm more focused on, like, everyone had a focus, or like multiple focuses. And I feel like I had multiple focuses. And I also, I feel like knowing myself really helped too. I'm like, I enjoy art. I enjoy, these things that have meant so much to me. And I'm going to dive deeper into them. And that's all I did. Like, I took so many art classes every year of high school, and then same in college. Like, I started an art business. Like, I kept going. And I always tell people that too. When you're interested in something, pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. And like, even if you, for example, if your dream is to be a celebrity makeup artist, then I suggest as a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl that you get a job at Ulta. That you step your foot ever so slightly in there, because all it does for you is create a footprint or a resume for you. Because when for me, for example, I am in education, and my essential like job was going to be high school teacher. I wanted to be a high school English teacher. And then I got my degree and realized that no, I don't want to be a high school English teacher. I think I would have loved it, but I don't think I could stay. I don't think I could have done it. I don't think I could have entered the education system as I was seeing it. In other words, I ended up doing everything else in education that's besides being a principal. Like, literally everything under the sun I started doing. And so I started working in education. And my background, if you look at it, you're like, oh, this girl knows what she's doing. She knows how to work with kids. And that's why I was often getting jobs that I was underqualified for, or I didn't have the right degree for, because one, they're short staffed. So that's just the truth. And like, it's short everywhere in the US right now. But, and two, I had this whole resume of things similar to what I was already in education, Like, I don't think I ever should have been hired as a paraprofessional. I have no certification. I have no training. However, I learned and I researched and I did everything I could when I got that job, because I understood the reason they gave it to me is because they needed help. And I had this huge background with working in schools and doing multiple things. And so, yeah, I just kept building it. So if you want to be something, you have to not keep your eyes on the prize, but and I'm realizing now that it definitely helps knowing who you are, getting to know yourself, which is something I feel like I figured out when I was 10. So I can't sit here and tell someone who's 17, 18 to, that they should have been more focused on getting to know themselves, because truthfully you have the rest of your life to do that. But there is something so deeply depressing about wasted time. And I understand that. I understand why that feels that way. But it definitely has to be like some sort of mentality shift, because if you can't change things and if you can't learn yourself from one day to the next, which you can't, not typically, then you have to be that realist, and you have to accept that you might go through college not knowing what you want to do, and you might end up at jobs and places and going after a career that's not what you wanted in the first place. But all I can do is remind you of this and have you kind of hyper aware of what you lack, so you can look for it a little bit more, or be a little bit more focused in the search for who you are. And now that you're aware of it, please take notes of what interests you and dive into things deeply and figure out what has caught your interest there, because it is so easy to live life on autopilot and just go from one day to the next. Trust me, I've done it, but I've done it knowing that I had goals and places to go. And even if I don't reach the goals or the goals change, I still know who I am at the end of the day. And I still know that the choices I make are because of who I am, not because I'm trying to find her or I'm trying to look for her. And I get to know a little bit more every single day. And 5-year-old Joe, 10-year-old Joe, 25-year-old Joe learns and grows and stays with me. And yeah, we're all just kind of here together. And yeah, the whole concept of like, figuring out who you are is not what I thought I was going to be making the video about, but it truly is what I think makes the difference. Because I was trying to figure that out, like why this person disliked their school experience versus me, because we went to the same school, y'all. So it's not like we had like difference there, but obviously home life and friendships and all of that is all different. So that's going to affect you, of course. And all I can do is listen and kind of, again, I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker. I'm not trying to give advice where it's not wanted, but I want to listen as much as I can and try to understand, because we're all going through different things and there's just no way for us to fix the deep issues that someone has, especially when they go that deep. You know? And I want them to be okay more than anything, and I want them to love life more than anything, because that's how life should be lived. And you can't just tell a person that. You can't just tell a person live life and romanticize it and enjoy it, seize the day, you know? You can tell a person that, but it's so hard, and all I can do is lead by example. And I hope that I've done that, because I truly believe that the 27 years I've been on earth have been so great, and I'm so lucky, and I really am. I just think about it a lot, and I'm like, wow. I used to say this when I was like 22, 23, 24, especially 24, I think 24, 25. I would always look back constantly and be like, yeah, if I pass away today, I would be so happy. I think I did so much. This is me, you know? And it's also like practicing gratitude. I understand how big and important that is. Looking back and just saying, wow, I'm grateful. The happiness index all the way up. Like, wow, I'm so grateful and I'm so happy. And yeah, what to complain about? Don't know. And that is not to say things are perfect. That is not to say I live in a mansion. And that is not to say that I'm not unhappy with the state of certain things and how things are going sometimes. But that doesn't mean I have to be miserable, because there's too much good. There's too much good. I'm so for now, I'm going to go and spend the evening with my family. We're gonna go to the Christmas circus, and what can I complain about there? Nothing at all. So I don't know if this video was helpful for anybody in high school, but I hope it was. Okay, yo te amo. Bye. Let me know if you have any topics you want me to talk about, because I don't want to run out of topics. Yo te amo. Bye.